Hey, thanks for joining us. So I am going to get into this cruise that we took, a transatlantic cruise from New York to Barcelona, Spain last year, but we did it for a very unconventional reason. Yes, we were actually relocating, moving from Hawaii to Portugal via this cruise. Who does that? Stay with us and I'll share with you why and who and how. We are Dennis and Min. Come join us on our traveling adventures around the world. And before we get into things, please, if you haven't already, and if you like this content and want to see more, please like and subscribe as well. So a little backstory. So Min and I were looking for places to retire in the coming several years, and after visiting multiple countries around the world, we fell in love with Portugal. So we went home to Hawaii in late 2022. We put our home on the market, sold it, and we began the paperwork and the process for the D7 visa, which is a retirement visa for Portugal. So one of the first steps is we have to do a short interview at their regional office in the US, which is, for us being in Hawaii, was San Francisco. So we decided to go ahead and sell off everything and attend this interview, have all of our paperwork prepared, meet with this representative from Portugal in San Francisco, and from there, we would go ahead and go to New York. From there, take a transatlantic cruise with 7 pieces of luggage on this cruise to Barcelona, which we would then fly to Lisbon to make our way to our new home, which we had purchased in Nazaré, Portugal. I promise you I will get into the details of the 15-night Norwegian cruise from New York to Barcelona, Spain, but we did it very unconventionally, and so I just wanted to share the reasons how and why we did this in a little bit of detail. If you want to just skip this part of our transition to Portugal and just get right to the cruise, just skip ahead a little bit in this video to where we begin our cruise in New York City. So we began the journey from Hawaii. We flew to San Francisco, where we went ahead and met with the representative for the processing of our for our visa, which would lead to temporary residency in Portugal, which we subsequently now have. And we decided to take in some of the sites in and around San Francisco. Min had never been there before, so it was a new experience for her, seeing all the popular sites in and around San Francisco. So after a couple days in San Francisco, we went a little bit further south in California to visit my mom, who is in memory care with Alzheimer's. I have a couple other videos on that on the channel regarding her situation. Had a wonderful visit with her, and then we went to LAX, where we took a flight from LA to New York to journey on this transatlantic cruise, which I will be getting into. So stay with us here on that. And we ended up finding a really great rate through Vacations to Go. I've mentioned that in some of my other cruising videos. That was for this 15-night Norwegian cruise line itinerary between New York and Barcelona. And it was actually cheaper to take this cruise than it would have been for us to fly there one way, believe it or not. So it was a great bargain for the time of the year. And I can't recall exactly, but it might have been a repositioning cruise. So you might have heard me talk about repositioning cruises on a couple other videos that I've posted to this channel. And you can usually find some great rates for the repositioning cruises that often do go transatlantic as well. So we were in New York for a couple of days, and Min had not been there either. So we took in a lot of the sites, the Statue of Liberty, We went to Central Park, rented some bikes, and visited the John Lennon Imagine section of Central Park. Min and I are huge Beatle fans, and of course John Lennon fans. And we also got tried to duplicate a picture of us in front of the Dakota, where John Lennon and Yoko lived for many, many years. And we also visited the 9/11 memorial. That was very moving to be there for that. So at this point, some of you might be wondering, so we had that appointment in San Francisco, and now we're going to Portugal via this transatlantic cruise. Why the rush? Well, there's a time frame that's involved regarding getting your residency. And so they are going to be scheduling a interview in Portugal. This is after the one in San Francisco. And at this time, we didn't know when that was going to be in the future, but we did know it was going to be within the next 3 to 6 months. Their system is very bureaucratic, and you just don't quite know exactly how soon or how late it's going to be. So based on some research and seeing how the timeframes were for other people going through the same process for the same type of visa, that's why we went ahead and just went from that appointment in San Francisco straight to Lisbon, and then to our home in Nazaré. And the other reason, if you haven't seen our other videos that share a little bit more about our story, is that we had purchased a condo in Nazaré. And so we hadn't been there since we had closed on it several months prior. So we also wanted to take that in and get some updated furnishings as needed and such. So that was the other purpose, and also wait out the time frame for our Portuguese interview. So once we sailed out of the New York harbor, we had a couple of days at sea, and our first stop, actually our first port, was in Bermuda, and that was someplace we'd never been before. So we were there for the day, and we just kind of moseyed around close to the port there. And we didn't really take in some of the other activities that you can do, like snorkeling. Again, we're from Hawaii, so a lot of the tropical turquoise blue water and snorkeling and swimming. I mean, sorry to sound this way, but we've done all that many times over. So anyways, we enjoyed walking through the town and having some drinks there. And then we had a couple more sea days ahead of us, and the ship was great. We met some wonderful new friends that we continue to keep in touch with to this day. And there was a Beatles tribute band. So a lot of the NCL ships, I think there's 4 NCL ships that have a recreation of the Cavern Club in Liverpool, England on the ship, which is really cool if you're a Beatles fan like us. I've actually not only been to Liverpool, but my Beatles tribute band from Hawaii performed there in 2017 at the Cavern Club. So it was really cool having this Beatles tribute band. They were very good, and they were pretty much spot on. They do the full dress up and all that, and it was really nice to be able to take in their shows. And their shows were always packed. They played almost every day on the ship at some point in time, and they were always full. Had to get there early. So that was a nice treat. If you are a Beatles lover, don't forget to take in those Beatles shows on these Norwegian cruises. So after some days at sea, we made our way to the Azores. I've learned now it's pronounced Azores. And there was one island, San Miguel, that we went to, and we were at the port there, I think Ponte Delgado. We had booked a tour around the island with the company, and wow, it was fascinating. It was very informative to learn about the Azores in general, but in particular the island of San Miguel. And we were fascinated to find out that they grow a lot of tea there. So we actually had a little tour of a tea processing plant there on the island, and we learned a lot. So it was really educational, and at the end of the tour, we had a wonderful meal with the people that were with our tour, most of whom were from the ship. And yeah, we had some great local food. And it was a little cloudy at the top of the mountain where we went, which is a pretty scenic view of this lake there. So we didn't quite get to see that, but everything else was spectacular. Of course, being a volcanic island, they've got a lot of hot springs, and they have a lot of these gases that are still coming up out of the ground, and some areas, pools which are like boiling water. You have to be very careful. So it was very educational. We didn't really know a lot about the Azores before we went there, and we're so glad that we did. And now that we are going to be residing much of the year in Portugal, in the mainland Portugal, there's many flights that go direct to the islands there. And of course, they have boats that you can take between the islands as well. And so we're looking forward to exploring more over there. So stay tuned for some more videos from the Azores. And from there, we had a next stop at Funchal, which is a port on the island of Madeira. And that's actually where I'm making this video from right now, in Madeira. And it is just so beautiful here as well. Similar to the Azores, they call Madeira the Hawaii of the Atlantic, and I can see why. It's a volcanic island like those in Hawaii, and they have great rum that they make here. They've been making it for a long time. And if you didn't know, the other cool thing about Madeira is it's the origination of the ukulele. So they brought their instruments from here to Hawaii, made a couple of changes, and it became the ukulele. I'm going to be dedicating an entire video just for that story. What many people do when they come here is they have a tram that can take you up the mountain right from downtown Funchal, which is a great city. It's the biggest city on the island of Madeira, and that will take you up to the top. And they actually have a couple nice parks, gardens, botanical gardens that you can also visit when you're up there on the mountains. And if you are up to it, they have these sleds, very traditional. You can pay maybe 30 euros for 2 people. I think you can fit on this sled, and 2 Portuguese gentlemen will escort you down this sled, down the windy street, all the way down to the bottom of the hill. So we did not do that, but many people do, and it's quite thrilling and not dangerous, I don't think, but something to consider doing when you're in Madeira. As you can see from the pictures, we opted, instead of the sledding, to look at the beautiful gardens. And the other nice thing is you have these incredible views of the city of Funchal, of the Atlantic Ocean. So wonderful, wonderful place. And we were so glad to come here. And some cool history is that we have a lot of friends in Hawaii who have roots here in Madeira, because so many Madeirans went there in the late 1800s to work in the sugarcane industry in Hawaii, and many of them stayed over there in Hawaii. So yeah, so a lot of people we know have their roots right from here in Madeira, which is pretty cool. And from Funchal, we made our way to Spain. So there was, maybe 1 or 2 more sea days ahead of us. And then we made our way to Cadiz, which is not an exciting town, but we did see some of the local sites, and there's a beautiful church near the port there. And took some pictures, as you can see below. And our next stop after Cadiz was supposed to be Malaga, but unfortunately the weather did not allow us to go into that port. So we had to skip going to Malaga. So we made our way then to Majorca, and we didn't spend, I can't remember exactly why, but there was a reason we didn't really spend a lot of time or take a lot of pictures in Majorca. We might have just not had a lot of time to be on land, or maybe, I don't know, one of us wasn't feeling well. I can't remember. So we don't have a lot of pictures, unfortunately, for Majorca. So our next stop after that was in Barcelona, and that was where we ended up for our final destination from this 15-night cruise. And Barcelona is a wonderful city. We loved it there. We were there for just about, I think, the same day we flew out, actually. So keep in mind, all this time we had with us, as you can see, 6 pieces of luggage and 2 backpack purses with us that we had brought with us all the way from Hawaii. So Hawaii to California to New York on this cruise. And it was kind of funny, I should have mentioned this earlier, but when we were loading our luggage for the cruise ship, these guys were looking at us like, wow, these people really travel with a lot of stuff. Like, this is only 15 days, not 15 months. We're like, yeah, we know. So, but anyways, the cool thing is that, we would have had to pay a lot of money for that luggage on a flight, right? And a lot of people, when they relocate from anywhere, or particularly the US to Portugal, it's expensive. You have to ship all this stuff. It takes time. And that's why we just wanted to simplify our lives, completely downsize, try to be as minimalist as possible. So we sold the majority of everything that we own back in Hawaii. So we literally took a lot of what life we had materially with us along this journey from Hawaii to California to New York to Barcelona to Lisbon to Nazaré. So that's our story. There's some images here of when we first landed in Lisbon from Barcelona, and it was like, whew, made it to Portugal, and it was very exciting. And then from there, I think we rented a car, and we packed the car. It wasn't as big of a car as I was expecting it to be, but they were limited on the options. So we literally stuffed all of our luggage into this small car, but it was enough. We had enough room, barely. All right, here we are. It is May 7th, 2023. We have our rental car now. You can see it is packed full. We just arrived in Lisbon from the Barcelona airport, where we finished off our transatlantic cruise from New York to Barcelona. 2 weeks on the open ocean, wonderful trip. Have to lose some weight. And we are now here to start our new life and chapter in Nazaré. And we made our way to Nazaré, and it was just a beautiful day. And we just relished in the fact that this was going to be our new home in Portugal. So it's been a great journey. No regrets. We're still loving life, and we're grateful every day for this opportunity to live in this beautiful country and now explore a little bit more in this place we call Madeira. So that's it for this video, and we have a lot more videos coming your way from Madeira. So if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe, and please drop a comment on if you've been to any of these places that I just mentioned along the way on our cruise, and if you have had any other interest in moving, relocating to Portugal, we'd love to hear your story as well. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you again.